Welcome to World Information HD, the channel where knowledge meets discovery. In today's video, we take you on a fascinating journey into the world of rare American coins. From hidden treasures in your pocket change to historical pieces that collectors dream of owning, we're counting down the top 10 most valuable rare USA Lincoln pennies and Washington $quarter coins worth millions. Stay tuned. You might just find out that a fortune could be sitting right in your coin jar. The year 1974 may not seem too distant in the grand timeline of American history, but for coin collectors, it holds a special chapter in the story of the Lincoln 1-cent coin. On the surface, a 1974 Lincoln penny without a mint mark might look like just another ordinary copper coin that millions of Americans used in their daily transactions. People bought candy, newspapers, and gum with it, never thinking it could one day be worth a small fortune. But what separates a simple penny from one that collectors are willing to pay thousands of dollars for lies in its details. Tiny characteristics invisible to the casual eye but powerful enough to spark fierce competition among numismatists. To truly appreciate the value of a 1974 no-mint mark Lincoln penny, we first need to step back and understand the context of the coin itself. The Lincoln cent has been in circulation since 1909. First introduced to commemorate the 100th anniversary of President Abraham Lincoln's birth. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the obverse of the coin, with its familiar bust of Lincoln, has become one of the most iconic and enduring designs in American coinage. By the time 1974 came around, the Lincoln penny had already cemented itself as a staple in the nation's pocket change for decades. Now, the year 1974 stands out for a reason. This was a time of transition and experimentation in U.S. coinage. The mint was struggling with rising copper prices. Since Lincoln cents were made primarily of copper at the time, the cost of producing them was creeping dangerously close to, and sometimes even exceeding, the coin's own face value. This economic problem forced the U.S. Mint to begin testing alternatives. The question was, should the penny remain copper, or should a cheaper metal take its place? For that reason, 1974 was a fascinating year. While most of the coins produced that year were still copper, experiments were conducted with aluminum and bronze-clad steel cents. In fact, a very small number of 1974 aluminum cents were struck for testing purposes, and a handful are known to exist today. These are incredibly rare and are tied up in legal disputes with the mint. But even setting the aluminum pennies aside, the regular copper issues of 1974 hold surprises of their own. The no-mint mark Lincoln penny of 1974 was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, which at the time did not place a mint mark on its coins. While billions of Lincoln cents were minted in 1974 across Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco, the Philadelphia strikes without a mint mark can contain subtle variations that set them apart. Collectors pay close attention to the smallest details. The sharpness of the strike, the condition of the coin, whether the surfaces are free from scratches, and whether the coin displays any unusual die errors. Errors are among the most fascinating aspects of coin collecting because they transform a common coin into a unique treasure. Some 1974 no-mint mark pennies show doubling on the obverse lettering, particularly on the motto, "In God We Trust," or on the date itself. This kind of doubling, caused by misalignment during the minting process, is called a double die error and can multiply the coin's value dramatically. Another factor that makes a coin special is its grade. The vast majority of pennies from 1974 circulated heavily. People used them, pocketed them, dropped them into jars, and passed them along without a second thought. These circulated coins are usually worn down, with Lincoln's hair and beard details smoothed out, the rim flattened, and the luster completely gone. Such coins are common and generally worth face value. However, the story changes completely if a coin has been preserved in exceptional condition. Uncirculated examples, particularly those graded by professional services like PCGS or NGC, are what collectors dream of finding. These coins retain their original mint luster, sharp detail, and brilliant surfaces. In high grades, even a penny as common as a 1974 no-mint mark can attract strong interest. And when you combine such preservation with rarity factors like errors or unique striking qualities, the result is a penny that can fetch thousands of dollars at auction. Imagine this: someone decades ago might have set aside a brand new roll of 1974 pennies, perhaps bought directly from the bank. Over the years, while countless others circulated and wore down, those untouched coins remained in pristine condition. Fast forward to today, and one of those coins might surface in an auction. The shine, the detail, the untouched quality, it becomes almost a time capsule, showing the penny exactly as it looked the day it left the mint. Collectors prize this level of preservation because it connects them with history in its purest form. But it's not just about condition and errors. Another fascinating aspect of the 1974 penny story is the sheer nostalgia tied to it. This was the year President Richard Nixon resigned, the Vietnam War was drawing to a close, and the nation was going through dramatic cultural shifts. To hold a penny from 1974 is to hold a small piece of that history. Collectors often find themselves drawn not only to the coin's physical characteristics, but also to the era it represents. It's more than metal, it's memory, history, and heritage rolled into one. Now, let's talk about the grading scale in more detail, because this is where true collectors pay attention. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70, known as the Sheldon scale. A coin graded 1 is barely identifiable, worn almost flat, while a coin graded 70 is considered flawless under magnification. For a 1974 no-mint mark penny, finding one in grades like MS65, MS66, or higher is rare. Each jump in grade represents not just a numerical difference, but often a leap in market value. A coin in MS67 might be several times more valuable than the same coin in MS65, simply because the higher grade examples are so much scarcer. One of the most thrilling aspects of coin collecting is that these valuable finds can turn up in the most unexpected places. A family might discover an old jar of coins tucked away in a basement or attic. Inside, among the countless common pieces, there could be a 1974 penny preserved in uncirculated condition. Suddenly, what seemed like pocket change becomes a collectible with real value. Stories like these are what keep the world of numismatics exciting. It's a treasure hunt where the treasure is hiding in plain sight. Auction houses across the United States have seen strong results for high-quality Lincoln cents from the 1970s. While millions of these coins were minted, only a fraction survive in top condition. And it is this scarcity at the highest grades that fuels demand. Collectors who specialize in Lincoln cents often aim to build complete sets, seeking one outstanding example from each year. When they come across a superb 1974 no-mint mark penny, competition can get fierce. It's also important to note that the story of the penny doesn't exist in isolation. The broader coin market influences value as well. As demand for U.S. coinage rises, and as new collectors enter the hobby, prices for standout coins continue to climb. The Lincoln Cent series, being one of the longest running in American history, attracts a loyal following. Whether it's the wheat cents of the early 20th century, the steel cents of 1943, or the transitional years like 1974, each coin has a story that contributes to the whole. What makes the 1974 penny so intriguing is that it embodies both the ordinary and the extraordinary. Billions were made, and countless still circulate today, often overlooked. Yet within that vast ocean of copper coins lies the chance of encountering one that has survived untouched, one that holds within it the potential to change hands for thousands of dollars. It's this contrast, between the common and the rare, that makes coin collecting endlessly captivating. For many collectors, finding that perfect 1974 no-mint mark penny becomes a personal quest. Some search through rolls purchased from banks, others attend coin shows and auctions, while some simply keep a watchful eye on the change they receive at a grocery store. Every discovery, no matter how small, adds fuel to the passion that drives the hobby forward. As with any collectible, knowledge is the key. Understanding what to look for, the signs of doubling, the sharpness of strike, the preservation of surfaces, can make all the difference between spotting a valuable rarity and passing it by as just another coin. This is why educational resources, collector communities, and grading guides play such an important role. In the world of coin collecting, there are certain treasures that seem ordinary to the untrained eye but carry within them the weight of history, rarity, and incredible value. Today, we dive into one of those fascinating treasures, the 1983 D Mint Mark Washington quarter dollar. At first glance, it might look like any other pocket change that has passed through countless hands across America. But as you'll soon discover, this particular coin hides a story that makes it one of the most desirable finds in modern numismatics. To understand why this coin is so special, let us first step back into history. The Washington quarter was first introduced in 1932 to commemorate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. What was meant to be a one-year commemorative issue eventually became a permanent series in American coinage, one that would remain iconic for decades. The quarter became a cornerstone of everyday transactions, and with millions produced every year, most people assumed that all quarters were equal. But as any collector knows, the devil is in the details, and small differences can mean the difference between a coin worth 25 cents and one worth thousands of dollars. By 1983, the Washington quarter had already undergone several changes. The silver composition had been abandoned almost 2 decades earlier, and clad copper-nickel coins had become the new standard. To most people, a 1983 D quarter was just another coin in circulation, no different than the ones they used for vending machines, toll booths, or a quick purchase at the corner store. Yet, despite the massive production numbers of that year, something unusual happened that would make a select few 1983 D quarters extremely valuable. The Denver Mint, marked with the small letter D on the coin's obverse just behind Washington's portrait, was responsible for striking millions of quarters in 1983. However, what collectors eventually discovered was that the year 1982 and 1983 were transitional and challenging years for coin production. The United States Mint did not release mint sets in 1982 or 1983, which means that collectors could not easily obtain pristine, uncirculated examples of coins from these years directly from the mint. Instead, the only way to get high-quality coins from 1983 was to find them in circulation, a daunting task, given that coins quickly accumulate scratches, dings, and wear marks when used daily. This absence of mint sets created a scarcity that would only grow more apparent with time. Collectors began to realize that finding an immaculate, high-grade 1983 D quarter was far more difficult than finding coins from surrounding years. And in coin collecting, condition is everything. A well-preserved example, struck sharply and with minimal blemishes, can fetch incredible prices at auctions and private sales. But condition was not the only factor at play. The 1983 D quarter is also infamous for several errors and striking varieties that make it even more appealing to collectors. Some quarters from this year were struck on misaligned dies, creating off-center strikes that reveal partial blanks where the design should have been. Others exhibit doubling in the lettering or date, where the engraving seems to have a shadow effect, known as a doubled die. Still others show weaknesses in the strike, with Washington's hair details or the eagle on the reverse appearing faint and underdefined. Each of these errors adds to the coin's uniqueness and desirability. Another major reason for the coin's collectability lies in its survival rate. Because the mint didn't offer sets, and because people in the 1980s didn't generally think about saving modern quarters for future value, most 1983 D quarters were simply used, spent, and worn down. By the time collectors realized their importance, only a fraction remained in high grades. Today, if you come across one in near-perfect condition, especially graded by a reputable company like PCGS or NGC, it can command an extraordinary premium. Imagine holding a simple quarter in your hand, something most people would overlook, yet knowing that within that small piece of metal lies a story of scarcity, oversight, and survival. That is the magic of the 1983 D Washington quarter. It transforms from an everyday coin into a time capsule, a relic of an era when the mint's decisions inadvertently created one of the rarest modern quarters. As collectors know, the market for rare coins is driven by both supply and demand. The limited supply of pristine 1983 D quarters, combined with the ever-growing demand from collectors seeking to complete their Washington quarter sets, ensures that the value of this coin continues to rise. Auction houses have seen fierce bidding wars break out over high-grade specimens. Collectors with deep pockets are willing to pay astonishing sums just to secure one of these elusive coins. And every time one sells for a record-breaking price, the legend of the 1983 D quarter grows stronger. For beginners in coin collecting, it serves as a powerful reminder: never underestimate the coins in your pocket change. What may look ordinary could be hiding extraordinary value. The 1983 D quarter is living proof that even relatively modern coins can hold immense worth. Unlike older coins that have obvious rarity due to age or low mintage, this coin's value comes from circumstances: no mint sets, widespread circulation, and the difficulty of finding pristine examples. Collectors often speak with excitement about the thrill of the hunt. Searching through rolls of quarters from banks, estate sales, or old collections in hopes of finding that one gem is part of the adventure. And when it comes to the 1983 D quarter, the hunt is especially rewarding. Stories circulate in the coin collecting community of individuals who discovered high-grade examples tucked away in jars of change or handed down unknowingly from relatives. These discoveries transform everyday people into fortunate owners of a small but mighty treasure. Now let us consider the artistry and design of the coin itself. On the obverse, George Washington's profile, based on John Flanagan classic design, continues to exude a sense of dignity and strength. The D mint mark, though small, carries tremendous significance for this particular year. On the reverse, the heraldic eagle spreads its wings with authority, clutching arrows and olive branches, symbols of America's readiness for both war and peace. While the design had become familiar to millions of Americans by the 1980s, the details on a well-preserved 1983 D quarter come alive in ways that highlight the engraver's skill. It's fascinating how perception can change with knowledge. For most people in 1983, this quarter was just another piece of currency, used without a second thought. Decades later, we look at the same coin and see it not merely as money but as art, as history, and as a collector's prize. Every scratch, every mark tells a story of where that coin has traveled, what it has bought, and how it survived the journey from the mint to today. Collectors also cherish the educational aspect of coins like the 1983 D quarter. They teach us about economics, minting technology, and even the social habits of the time. The lack of mint sets reminds us of decisions made by the mint in the early 1980s, reflecting budgetary constraints and priorities. The wear and tear on surviving examples reminds us of the bustling commerce of the era, when quarters were vital for parking meters, payphones, and arcade machines. It connects us not only to history but also to the everyday lives of people in that decade. As we near the end of this journey into the world of the 1983 D Washington quarter, one question naturally arises: just how much is such a coin worth today? While common circulated examples may only fetch a modest premium, the real excitement lies in those rare, high-grade specimens that have survived against the odds. In auctions and private sales, these coins have commanded eye-popping sums, a reflection of their rarity and the passion they inspire in collectors. And now, the moment you've been waiting for. The highest reported value for a pristine, high-grade 1983 D mint mark Washington quarter dollar has reached an incredible $13,335. The story of the Lincoln cent is one of the most fascinating journeys in American coinage. For over a century, this small copper-plated coin has carried the image of President Abraham Lincoln, becoming one of the most widely recognized and collected coins in the world. And while billions of them are produced every year, once in a while a certain year, a particular variety, or a rare era coin captures the attention of collectors and sends values soaring. Today, we're going to explore one such coin, the 2018 no-mint mark Lincoln 1 cent. When most people glance at a penny, they see nothing more than loose change, something to be tossed into a drawer, dropped into a jar, or even ignored on the sidewalk. But for collectors and coin enthusiasts, even the most ordinary-looking cent can hold hidden secrets. That is precisely the case with the 2018 no-mint mark Lincoln cent, a coin that might seem modern and common, but under the right circumstances can be surprisingly valuable. To understand why this coin has attracted attention, let's begin by looking at the broader history of the Lincoln cent itself. First introduced in 1909 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, the penny replaced the Indian head cent and quickly became a staple of American pocket change. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the obverse of the coin features a portrait of Lincoln facing right, a design so iconic that it has endured to the present day with only slight modifications. Over the decades, different reverse designs have come and gone, from the wheat ears to the Lincoln Memorial, and more recently, the Union Shield that represents the nation's unity. The 2018 Lincoln cent carries the Union Shield reverse, first introduced in 2010. The shield, with its bold stripes and single banner, symbolizes Lincoln's role in preserving the Union during the Civil War. By 2018, the coin had already been in circulation for 8 years with this reverse design, and at first glance, it didn't seem like there was anything particularly special about it. After all, billions were minted. But as every coin collector knows, the real treasure is often hidden in the details. Now, let's talk about mint marks. A mint mark is a small letter stamped on a coin to identify where it was produced. In the case of modern U.S. cents, coins struck at the Denver Mint carry a small D mint mark, while those produced in San Francisco for proof sets carry an S. Coins without a mint mark are struck at the Philadelphia Mint, something that historically wasn't always the case. For decades, Philadelphia coins bore no mint mark at all, until 2017 when the Mint briefly included a P mark for the very first time in honor of its 225th anniversary. That brings us to 2018. The following year, the Philadelphia Mint returned to its tradition of leaving off the mint mark, producing coins with no letter at all beneath the date. This return to the classic look makes the 2018 no mint mark penny stand out in the timeline of Lincoln cents. To many casual collectors, it was almost a surprise to see the mint mark vanish again after its one-year appearance in 2017. But this subtle change also created a collectible moment, as collectors began setting aside 2018 no mint mark cents as reminders of the mint's brief experiment. So why exactly is the 2018 no mint mark Lincoln cent interesting, and why are collectors willing to pay high prices for it under certain conditions? The answer lies in rarity, condition, and the thrill of the hunt. Although billions of these coins exist, most of them entered circulation, where they quickly picked up scratches, nicks, and wear. Only a small fraction of freshly minted examples were carefully preserved by collectors or accidentally set aside in pristine rolls. When these coins are submitted to professional grading services and receive a high grade, such as Mint State 67 or even higher, they can command surprising premiums. Imagine this: 2 coins struck on the exact same press, on the exact same day. One goes into circulation and rattles around in pockets, vending machines, and cash registers for years. The other is plucked directly from a roll, never touched by human hands, and stored carefully. Decades later, one is worth just a cent, while the other could be worth thousands of dollars. That is the magic of coin collecting. Adding to the intrigue are error coins. The minting process is highly automated, but no system is perfect. Sometimes a coin is struck off-center, leaving part of the design missing. Other times a doubled die creates the appearance of a design element stamped twice. There are even cases where the wrong planchet, or blank metal disc, is used, leading to dramatic mistakes like cents struck on dime planchets. Collectors love error coins because they are one of a kind. No 2 errors are exactly alike. The 2018 no mint mark Lincoln cent is no exception. Error varieties from this year have surfaced, including off-center strikes and die clashes, where the 2 dies strike each other without a blank coin between them, leaving ghostly images on the final product. Each of these errors increases a coin's value far beyond its face worth. But even without errors, condition alone can elevate the 2018 no mint mark penny to impressive heights. Professional grading is key here. Services like PCGS and NGC evaluate coins on the Sheldon scale from 1 to 70. A coin in the 60s is considered mint state, meaning it shows no wear, only minor imperfections from the minting process itself. For modern coins, achieving grades of MS67 or MS68 is difficult, and MS69 is nearly impossible. Collectors chase these top-tier coins because they know how rare it is for a modern cent to survive in flawless condition. What drives this pursuit? Part of it is competition. Collectors love to build the finest sets possible, and owning the highest graded example of a particular year is a badge of honor. Another part is investment. Rare coins in superb condition tend to increase in value over time, making them not just hobbies, but potential financial assets. The 2018 no-mint mark Lincoln cent sits at the intersection of modern collecting and traditional fascination. It's a coin that connects to over a century of history, yet still feels new enough to be hiding in your change jar today. It's both accessible and mysterious, a reminder that treasures still circulate among us, often overlooked by those who don't know where to look. Think about how many pennies pass through your hands in a single week. You might use them at a store, drop them in a tip jar, or even ignore them because they seem insignificant. Yet hidden in those handfuls of copper-plated coins could be something remarkable. A pristine 2018 no-mint mark penny that, in the right hands and under the right grading conditions, becomes a collector's prize. Stories abound of collectors who discovered valuable coins in the most unexpected places. A jar of change on a dresser. A roll of pennies picked up at the bank. Even a handful of change received at a gas station. Each time, the thrill is the same, realizing that something rare and valuable has been hiding in plain sight. That is the allure of coins like the 2018 no-mint mark Lincoln cent. It's not just about the money either. For many collectors, the real joy is the connection to history. Every coin carries a story, of the mint that struck it, the era it was produced in, and the countless hands it might have passed through. Even a modern coin like the 2018 cent ties us to traditions stretching back over a century, and to the vision of Abraham Lincoln himself, whose portrait has endured longer on U.S. coinage than any other president. Now, let's circle back to the question everyone wants answered: just how much can a 2018 no-mint mark Lincoln cent be worth? The answer depends on its condition, its rarity and high grades, and whether it carries any special errors. While most examples you'll find in circulation will only be worth face value, a lucky few have already astonished collectors and buyers at auctions. Some pristine, high-grade 2018 no-mint mark Lincoln cents have reached values that would make anyone look twice at their pocket change. And among the most eye-catching sales reported, one standout 2018 no-mint mark Lincoln cent in exceptional condition was sold for an incredible $7,299. Welcome back to the World Information HD channel, where we explore the hidden treasures of American coinage and reveal the fascinating history, designs, and values that make certain coins worth far more than their face value. Today's story takes us deep into the world of modern collectible quarters, coins that many people still carry in their pockets, completely unaware of the hidden fortune they might be holding. The coin we are uncovering today is none other than the 2019 D-Mint mark Lowell Washington quarter dollar, a piece of modern history that is already becoming a favorite among collectors. The Washington quarter has a long and rich history. It first appeared in 1932, designed to commemorate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. Over the years, the design has evolved, reflecting different aspects of American culture, heritage, and history. But starting in 1999, the U.S. Mint began releasing quarters as part of the 50-state quarters program, which became wildly popular. That program ended in 2008, but the Mint continued with new series such as the America the Beautiful quarters, which showcased national parks and historic landmarks from 2010 to 2021. Among those America the Beautiful designs is the 2019 Lowell National Historical Park quarter, which is the focus of our journey today. The Lowell quarter is the first release of the 2019 America the Beautiful quarters. It was struck to honor Lowell National Historical Park in Massachusetts, a site that commemorates the Industrial Revolution and the mill girls who were central to the textile industry of the 19th century. The design on the reverse of this coin is both symbolic and beautiful. It depicts a mill girl working at a power loom, with a view of a large smokestack and mill building in the background, along with a clock tower rising into the sky. This imagery is not just a piece of art, it tells the story of America's transformation into an industrial nation, the role of women in that history, and the struggles and triumphs that shaped the country. Collectors have found the Lowell quarter to be especially appealing because of this unique and powerful design. While most quarters feature monuments, landscapes, or natural wonders, this coin pays tribute to working-class women and the industrial past that fueled America's growth. It's a coin that speaks volumes without words, capturing a moment in history with intricate details. Now, when we talk about the 2019 Lowell Washington quarter, there are several varieties depending on where the coin was minted. The Philadelphia Mint struck coins with a P Mint mark. The San Francisco Mint produced both regular and proof coins with the S Mint mark, and the Denver Mint issued coins with the D Mint mark. The focus of today's discussion is the Denver Mint's 2019 D Lowell quarter, which has become one of the most desirable among collectors. At first glance, you might think that a coin minted in 2019 would not hold much value, since it is so recent. After all, millions of these quarters were struck and distributed into circulation across the United States. However, coin collecting is not always about age alone. What makes certain modern coins valuable are factors such as mintage numbers, condition, striking errors, and demand in the collector's market. The Denver Mint produced hundreds of millions of coins in 2019, but when it comes to pristine condition specimens, especially those graded by professional services, the number becomes much smaller. Collectors highly prize coins that remain in mint state condition, free from scratches, circulation wear, and blemishes. A 2019 D Lowell quarter that has been preserved in high grade, especially in mint state 67 or mint state 68, can command a surprising premium. Some collectors even chase the rare examples graded mint state 69, which are nearly flawless and extremely difficult to find. One of the most interesting aspects of modern quarters like the Lowell design is the existence of error coins. Sometimes during the minting process, mistakes occur, such as double dies, off-center strikes, or planchet errors. These mistakes turn ordinary coins into rare collectibles, with prices climbing into the hundreds, or even thousands of dollars depending on the rarity of the error. Reports of Lowell quarters with minor striking errors have made collectors even more eager to check their change carefully, as a valuable error coin could be hiding in plain sight. The America the Beautiful quarter series, which includes the Lowell design, has a special place in U.S. coinage history because it was produced during a time when more Americans were actively collecting coins from circulation than ever before. Many people took up the hobby during the 50-state quarters program and continued with this series. As a result, coins like the Lowell quarter are widely collected, and demand has remained strong since their release. The Lowell National Historical Park itself adds another layer of appeal to this coin. Located in Lowell, Massachusetts, this park tells the story of the mill workers, the machines, and the industrial growth that shaped the region. The imagery of a young woman working at a loom reflects not just industry, but also the human element, the individuals who contributed to America's economic rise. Having such a meaningful and unique design immortalized on a coin makes it all the more attractive to collectors. But let's take a step back and consider why someone today might pay a significant amount of money for a quarter that was struck only a few years ago. The answer lies in the principles of supply and demand. While millions were minted, not all coins survive in pristine condition. Circulation quickly wears down details, creates nicks and scratches, and reduces overall eye appeal. High-grade examples become scarce, and collectors who want the best of the best are willing to pay premium prices to secure them. Grading is another important factor in determining the value of the 2019 D Lowell quarter. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70, with 70 representing a perfect, flawless coin. The difference between a mint state 66 and a mint state 67 coin may not be noticeable to the untrained eye, but to collectors and professionals, it can mean hundreds or even thousands of dollars in price difference. The rarity of higher-grade examples drives competitive bidding in auctions, pushing prices well beyond what most people would expect for such a recent coin. The thrill of finding one of these coins in circulation cannot be overstated. Imagine digging through your pocket change or sorting through a jar of quarters and suddenly spotting a Lowell design. You flip it over and see the small letter D just beside Washington's bust, marking it as a Denver Mint coin. If it happens to be in excellent condition, you might be holding a valuable piece without even realizing it. This excitement keeps collectors constantly searching, examining every coin that passes through their hands, hoping to uncover a treasure hidden among ordinary change. Collectors also enjoy assembling complete sets of the America the Beautiful quarters, and no set would be complete without the Lowell quarter. This means demand will remain strong for years to come, especially for well-preserved examples. With time, as more coins are lost, damaged, or kept in collections, the surviving population of pristine 2019 Lowell quarters will only shrink, making them even more desirable. When we consider coin values, it's important to remember that rarity, demand, and condition all play critical roles. While not every 2019 Lowell quarter is valuable, the right one, in the right grade, can sell for an impressive amount. Auctions have already seen these coins bring in surprising sums, and as collecting trends continue, interest in this coin is likely to grow. For those who are new to coin collecting, the Lowell quarter serves as an excellent example of why it pays to look closely at modern coins. Too often, people dismiss recent issues as common pocket change, overlooking the hidden gems among them. By learning what to look for, understanding mint marks, and paying attention to condition, anyone can turn an everyday discovery into a prized collectible. The beauty of the Lowell quarter lies not just in its design or its potential value, but also in its story. It represents a chapter of American history, a tribute to the working women who powered the Industrial Revolution, and a reminder of how even the smallest pieces of metal can carry immense meaning. Collectors treasure this connection between past and present, between art and industry, and between the ordinary and the extraordinary. So the next time you come across a Washington quarter in your change, take a closer look. You might find the familiar face of George Washington on the obverse, but flip it over, and if you see the Lowell design and that all-important D mint mark, pause for a moment. You could be looking at something worth far more than 25 cents. And now, after exploring its history, design, and collector value, we come to the figure that makes this coin even more remarkable. The United States of America has a long and fascinating history of coinage, and few coins capture the imagination of collectors and treasure hunters quite like the Washington quarter. Among all the quarters ever struck, the 1965 no mint mark Washington quarter holds a special place in the hearts of both serious numismatists and casual collectors. At first glance, it may appear to be just another common piece of change that passed through millions of hands during everyday transactions. But hidden within its history is a story of dramatic change, rarity, and collector fascination that continues to this very day. The year 1965 marked a pivotal turning point in American coinage history. To truly appreciate the significance of this quarter, we need to step back and understand the circumstances of its birth. For over a century, American coins had been struck with real silver. Dimes, quarters, and half dollars were all composed of 90% silver, giving them not only monetary value but also intrinsic worth. These coins were more than just currency. They were small discs of precious metal circulating freely in pockets, purses, and tills across the nation. But by the early 1960s, a storm was brewing in the world of coinage. The price of silver began to rise, creeping upward and threatening the very foundation of America's circulating money. People quickly realized that the silver in their coins was worth more than the face value stamped upon them. As a result, hoarding became widespread. Americans began pulling silver quarters, dimes, and half dollars out of circulation, stashing them away in drawers, jars, and safe deposit boxes. Millions of coins that once rattled through cash registers disappeared almost overnight. This created a national crisis. Suddenly, there was a coin shortage in everyday commerce. Businesses struggled with a lack of change, and the Treasury Department had to take action. The solution was bold but controversial. The United States government announced that starting in 1965, circulating quarters, dimes, and half dollars would no longer be made of silver. Instead, they would be struck in a new clad composition, a sandwich of copper and nickel layers bonded together. On the outside, these new coins look similar to their silver predecessors, but beneath the surface, they carried no precious metal at all. The first of these new clad quarters was the 1965 Washington quarter. And here's where things get interesting. To streamline production and meet the overwhelming demand for coinage, the U.S. Mint made another key decision. Quarters, dimes, and half dollars struck between 1965 and 1967 would bear no mint marks. Normally, coins carried small letters to indicate where they were made: D for Denver, S for San Francisco, and none for Philadelphia. But to discourage collectors from saving away mint mark varieties during this period of change, all coins from those years were intentionally struck without mint marks. This is why the 1965 quarter you see today has no mint mark. Every single one of them, regardless of whether it was struck in Philadelphia or Denver, carries that plain face without any distinguishing letter. It was a deliberate choice meant to keep coins circulating instead of being hoarded. At first, the public was skeptical. People were used to their silver coins, and many distrusted the new clad versions. They sounded different when dropped, felt lighter in the hand, and, of course, carried no intrinsic silver value. Still, with time, Americans adjusted, and the 1965 quarter became just another piece of change for vending machines, toll booths, and grocery stores. Yet for collectors, the story was only just beginning. The 1965 no-mint mark Washington quarter became a symbol of this great transformation in American coinage. It represented the end of the silver era and the birth of the modern clad coinage we still use today. Now, you might be thinking, if billions of these coins were minted, why would any single 1965 quarter be considered rare or valuable? After all, most of them still circulate to this day, and you can easily find worn examples in pocket change. The answer lies in the details: condition, striking quality, and the occasional error. When it comes to coins, condition is everything. The vast majority of 1965 quarters spent decades in circulation, being passed from hand to hand, scraped against other coins, and worn down until their surfaces became dull. But a tiny fraction survived in pristine condition, either because they were saved right after minting or because they were struck with exceptional quality. These coins, graded by professional services, can achieve designations such as mint state 65, 66, or even higher. The better the condition, the more eye appeal they have, and the higher their desirability among collectors. There are also special cases of striking quality known as full strikes, or full details. When a coin is struck with precise sharpness, every feature of George Washington's portrait and the eagle on the reverse comes through crisp and bold. These stand out dramatically compared to the average, weakly struck examples. Collectors go wild for such coins because they showcase the artistry of the design in its full glory. Errors add another fascinating layer to the 1965 quarter story. During this transitional year, the mint was shifting from silver to clad coinage, and mistakes were bound to happen. A small number of 1965 quarters are known to have been struck on leftover 90% silver planchets from 1964. These transitional era coins are incredibly rare and highly prized, since they represent a mistake during one of the most important changes in U.S. coinage history. Even without such errors, however, the standard 1965 clad quarter in exceptional condition can fetch surprising amounts of money at auctions. Collectors seek out the best preserved examples, often paying premium prices for coins that might look, to the untrained eye, like just another common quarter. It is the hunt for perfection that drives this value, the search for that one coin that somehow escaped the rough handling of circulation and remains as crisp today as the day it left the press. Let's not forget the historical weight this coin carries. It is more than just a quarter, it is a snapshot of American society in the 1960s. It tells the story of economic pressures, government decisions, and a nation transitioning away from precious metal coinage. Every 1965 quarter, whether dull and worn or shining and pristine, carries with it the echoes of that turbulent time. Collectors often say that holding one is like holding a piece of history, a reminder of when the sound of change in your pocket literally changed forever. Today, as coin enthusiasts and historians look back, the 1965 Washington quarter has become an essential collectible. It may not be made of silver, but it is rich with significance. It represents the end of one era and the beginning of another, making it a cornerstone in any serious coin collection. For many, the thrill comes from searching through rolls of quarters, hoping to spot one in high grade or even discover a rare transitional silver strike. Others treasure the coin simply for what it stands for: proudly placing it in albums and cases as a milestone in American coinage history. And now we arrive at the question that everyone wonders: how much can a single 1965 no-mint mark Washington quarter be worth today? While countless worn examples exist that are worth only face value, the truly exceptional pieces, those preserved in immaculate condition or possessing special qualities, can command serious money in the world of collectors. In fact, one remarkable example of the 1965 Washington quarter without a mint mark reached an astonishing auction value of $17,444. Welcome back to World Information HD, where rare coins, hidden treasures, and fascinating pieces of history come alive. Today, we are about to take a deep dive into one of the most mysterious and talked about coins in American coinage, the 1967 no-mint mark Washington quarter dollar. This coin, while looking fairly ordinary to the untrained eye, holds a special place in the hearts of collectors and historians alike. By the end of this video, you'll not only understand why it's so fascinating, but also how it can carry incredible value, far beyond its 25-cent face. The Washington quarter has been a fixture of U.S. coinage since 1932, created originally to honor the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. Designed by John Flanagan, it features the bold and dignified profile of America's first president on the obverse, and for many decades, the familiar eagle perched on a bundle of arrows on the reverse. By 1967, this design was already well established in circulation. But that year, something happened that makes the 1967 quarter stand out as unique, both historically and financially. To understand why the 1967 no-mint mark Washington quarter is so significant, we first need to go back in time to the early 1960s. The United States was facing a massive coin shortage. Rising silver prices had driven people to hoard coins, especially dimes, quarters, and half dollars that still contained silver. In 1965, the U.S. Mint made a drastic decision. They removed silver from the quarter entirely, changing its composition to a copper-nickel-clad alloy that is still used today. Alongside this, they temporarily removed mint marks from all coins between 1965 and 1967. That's right, whether a coin was struck in Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco, you wouldn't find a mint mark on it during these years. The idea behind this decision was simple. By removing mint marks, the government hoped to discourage coin hoarding by collectors. They believed people were snatching up coins just because they were struck at specific mints, worsening the circulation shortage. So for 3 years, mint marks disappeared completely from U.S. coins. This makes the 1967 Washington quarter instantly recognizable as a coin from a very unusual era in American coinage history. But the story doesn't stop there. The 1967 quarter is special for another reason too: its role in the transition from silver to clad coinage. Before 1965, quarters contained 90% silver, making them highly sought after not just by collectors but by anyone who understood the rising value of silver. After the switch, many people still didn't trust the new clad coins. They felt lighter, they looked different, and they had no precious metal value. This means the 1967 quarter often got ignored, overlooked, and left in circulation, while older silver quarters were hoarded away. And yet, despite being a common coin by mintage numbers, with more than 1.5 billion struck that year, not all 1967 quarters are created equal. Condition matters, rarity within a grade matters, and special minting processes also matter. This is where collectors really start paying attention. Among the 1967 quarters, you will find two broad categories: regular business strike coins and special mint set coins. Since proof sets were not produced in 1967, the Mint instead released special mint sets, often referred to as SMS coins. These were struck with greater care than normal circulation coins but with less detail than true proof coins. SMS quarters from 1967 often have a sharper strike, smoother surfaces, and sometimes a beautiful cameo contrast between frosted devices and mirrored fields. These coins, preserved well, are considered gems of the year. Now, let's talk about rarity and condition. Most 1,967 quarters spent years jangling around in pockets, purses, and cash registers. By the time they make it to collectors, they're usually worn, scratched, and far from pristine. Finding a 1967 quarter in high mint state grades, say MS-66 or MS-67, is remarkably difficult. The grading scale, developed by the Sheldon system, ranges from 1 to 70, with 70 being a perfect coin. Very few 1967 quarters survive today in those lofty grades, and those are the ones collectors will battle over at auction. In fact, some of the most astonishing values for the 1967 Washington quarter come from these high-grade survivors. Imagine a coin that was worth just 25 cents when it left the mint, but today, because of its condition, rarity, and historical significance, it can fetch thousands of dollars. That is the magic of coin collecting. Another fascinating detail about the 1967 quarter is the possibility of errors and varieties. Error coins often slip through quality control and make their way into circulation, later becoming prized treasures. On 1967 quarters, collectors have reported double die obverse, off-center strikes, and coins with striking anomalies like broad strikes or clipped planchets. Each of these unusual coins adds another layer of excitement for treasure hunters who love to search their pocket change. Think about it. Right now, millions of people handle coins daily without realizing the potential treasure they might be holding. A person might spend a rare high-grade 1967 quarter at a vending machine, never knowing that it could have been worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars to a collector. That's what makes the hunt so thrilling. Collectors also value the 1967 quarter because it represents a turning point in U.S. coinage. It was one of the early fully clad quarters, a symbol of change in American money. No longer backed by precious metal, coins became purely fiduciary, worth what the government declared them to be, not what their metal content represented. Some people resisted this change, longing for the days of silver-sound money, while others embraced it as a necessary modernization. Either way, the 1967 quarter embodies that historical tension. When you hold a 1967 quarter in your hand, you are holding more than just 25 cents. You are holding a piece of America's economic history, a story of transition, shortage, adaptation, and innovation. And if you're lucky enough to hold the right coin in the right condition, you're also holding a potential fortune. Auction records show us just how valuable this coin can become under the right circumstances. Collectors have paid astonishing amounts for the highest graded examples of the 1967 quarter. In fact, one pristine example of this coin, graded at the top of the scale with superb preservation, shimmering luster, and outstanding eye appeal, once sold for an amount that shocked even seasoned numismatists. So while millions of 1967 quarters may still be floating around, the key lies in recognizing the gems, the coins with flawless surfaces, sharp details, and perhaps those special mint set qualities that make them shine above the rest. That's where the true treasure is found. This is why collectors pore over every coin they find, searching with magnifying glasses, checking surfaces under strong light, and comparing their coins against known auction records. Because they know that among billions of ordinary coins, a few extraordinary ones exist. And now, for the part you've been waiting for, just how much could one of these quarters be worth today? After years of study, collector demand, and high-profile auctions, one of the finest examples of the 1967 no-mint mark Washington quarter dollar has sold for the remarkable sum of $15,553.